Anwar Sadat our hand and mutually deciding on no more war, no more bloodshed. You remember the famous the famous statement. Because he came to Israel and he broke a psychological barrier. He portrayed himself as a human being, as someone who really wants to have peace. And 2 years later, after a long and very complicated negotiation in Camp David, we signed a peace agreement with the biggest, not to mention the first, but the biggest Arab country. And on the margin, or together with this peace agreement, we also signed an agreement regarding autonomy for the Palestinians. And this was the time, this was the moment, ladies and gentlemen, in which we, for the first time, recognized the right of the Palestinian for self-determination. The first was the autonomy, and since then we have went a long way. I think that nowadays, in retrospect, the war, the Yom Kippur War, was for us, for the Israeli society, and I'm representing now not only the politicians but also the Israeli society, was a wake-up call. It came a little bit late, but still, it showed us that dreams are important. A people which does not have a dream has no future. But not less important, even more important, is the reality. Because in order to survive, especially in our part of the world, you have to make concessions, you have to get rid of your ultimate dreams, because you cannot reach it, but you have to be also prepared for the unexpected. This is, in a very nutshell, in a very simplistic way, the situation, or how I see the consequences, at least one consequence of the Yom Kippur War. And I think this war is a kind of a light tower for us Israelis to make sure that as long as we go with the peace process, we have to do the right things. We have to try to make a compromise when we can. Not less important is to maintain our security and the ability to defend ourselves by ourselves. This is, in regarding to another threat, the Iranian threat, is a very important principle, because during the Yom Kippur War, and by this I will finish, we learned to know who are our real friends. And when a country like Germany in 1973 did not permit the American Galaxy airplanes full of ammunition, new ammunition, fresh ammunition, to land in Germany on their way to Tel Aviv, to Israel. And the Americans were, in spite of their difficulties, Nixon and etc., they were the one who came to our rescue. We know who our real friends are, and in order to avoid a situation in which we are dependent on others, we have to be prepared to defend ourselves by ourselves. That's why we are doing two things parallel: being prepared, being very strong militarily, but also being generous, or at least try to be generous without risking our security vis-à-vis the Palestinians. So, ladies and gentlemen, Yom Kippur War will continue to be one of the turning points, as far as I'm concerned, in the reality of and the political conflict in the Middle East. I think that it's very important to look at it, to understand what happened before, during, and especially after. And I was talking and concentrating on the after, because sometimes war or military action can bring two sides back to reality and start in motion a process which, unfortunately, politicians cannot do. So let us remember the price that Israel paid, the Israeli society paid. Let us remember that Israel must be in a position to defend itself. Let us remember that we, in spite of the fact that we are strong enough, etc., etc. We need support, moral support against those who continue to try to delegitimate Israel, not on the battlefield, because the battlefield has changed from the actual battlefield, because the days of conventional war in the Middle East, as far as I see it nowadays, are almost over, because there are no armies on the other side who can, launch a war against Israel. But they move now to the political arena, in which this attempt to boycott Israel, to delegitimize Israel, is going on, and we need your help. And thank you again for Kidma, for having this date and giving me the opportunity to talk. Thank you so much.